So, theme of the day is chicken shit. I've just offered out Elon Musk on Twitter, as long as I get a wooden spoon, which is indeed mental behaviour and will get nobody anywhere. So I figured I've got to stop being chicken shit myself, and Mark Zukkerberg deserves the same respect as Elon Musk. They're talking about cage fighting each other, if you're not aware, and I'm just sick of greedy, silly little boys taking up so much space. So Zuckerberg, give me a spoon, you need a spank and putting on the naughty step. But what got me in such a bad mood was watching what was going on in the courtroom 2 of our Supreme Court today. And the basic question they're asking there is, do people who profit from projects that get oil out of the ground have to consider and bear responsibility for when it is burnt? Now, there's no other use for crude oil except to burn it. They call it combustion. So should they have to put the damage those emissions are going to do, consider that when they're planning? And at the moment, I can't say no. There was a really great lady saying this just doesn't make sense, and she cited a case about chicken shit and chicken farmers. So if you're going to build chicken coops to house chickens, then you have to take into account the chicken shit, because you can't have chickens without it. And she argued very well that that's obviously even harder link to understand than getting oils out of the ground. So they're off to discuss that, and it's just, you think, the people leading us, people in the courts, they can't be so silly. But I've heard so many ridiculous things said in these spaces. It's, that argument's a bit like we should let everybody who's in prison for growing drugs free, because they didn't know where the drugs were going to end up, or if they'd be taken. It was a separate project. It's just insanity, and it is really hard to watch so much time and effort go into avoid corporations being able to avoid responsibility, while there's other amazing things that have come out of our courts over the years, like the Nuremberg trials, right? We all know and accept, I hope, that just doing your job is not enough, but it is prevalent in our society at the moment. I experienced it myself a long time ago, women were property in law. When I needed the court's help, I was told that the courts did not consider children watching their mum get beaten up harmful to them in any way, and it's obviously wrong. So we know our courts don't always get it right, and it's just frustrating, isn't it? And we're doing similar things with the economy, right? I know it's really hard to think that something that we've been told to protect and jumped into so much is a load of nonsense, but what they're talking about, it's a load of nonsense, right? The number one rule of accountancy is the books have got to balance. So this debt that they're saying our country has and holds, and people have got to die in starvation, we can't help people in poverty, while our PM pays to upgrade the local electric grid for his pool. It just doesn't make sense, and it doesn't make sense because what I didn't understand is the intentions beneath that. Is people who subscribe to this, to my mind, it's elder-raddled economic culty thinking, but they believe that you have to have inequality because otherwise nobody will do anything. And that's the pandemic proved otherwise, did it not? We don't all have the entrepreneurial spirit. Teachers, nurses, there's lots of caring that goes on, and we don't account for any of that in our economic theory. And if you listen to them in courts, they think of all these things as externalities. They are concerned with profit, and that is all, and it is really fucking sad. So my assessment of where we're at is the people leading us are either idiots, they're not able to, or they're not putting in the heavy reading to understand what burning fossil fuels means. They're not, they're stuck in this economic thinking, so they're either idiots, they're not putting in the work, or they are fully aware and have been for decades. Sleazy Morgan, BJ's dad, even wrote books about it. They're fully aware of what is coming. They knew the choice was to stop burning oil, change lifestyles, or continue. Very, worst case scenario, total extinction, second worst case scenario. Our planet will only be able to support a tiny amount of those of us who are living now, and yeah, they're all right with that, and they've decided that, you know, they think they're a bit more special than everyone else, and that's okay. And they are bringing in charter cities and free ports to pass that Britain. Sounds mental, it's all true. And it's people, and each little area of Britain, the corporations that own them will be responsible for education, healthcare. They can set their own rules, they'll have their own police and justice systems. Where they are taking us is nowhere we want to go. But there is good things happening. I didn't go to the big one as Extinction Rebellion's event was called. I was not well, and also feeling pretty angry. You know, I just, having been looking so closely at this for a few years, I just felt it would be ignored, and although part of me really wanted to go and be with nice people, I couldn't get past my anxiety. And all the media went on about was, would they or wouldn't they disrupt the marathon? And I know the people who were organising that, and I know for a fact that all the media knew weeks ahead that there was no intention to disrupt the marathon at all, but that's what you heard. But all these groups are coming together, and we have some really good tools for deliberative democracy, right? We can have participatory budgets, there are people's assemblies. We could have, instead of a House of Lords, there could be a House of People representatives. We need to stop these short-term popularity contests where people who want power try and work out what we want to hear to put them into power. I mean, it's nonsense, right? It's the way they behave in these spaces, the select committees and all that. You wouldn't allow it from kids in the playground. We need longer term goals, things like the NHS and environmental, you know, making sure we've got clean water and air. They should not be up for making loads of profit, and they should not be up for political footballs, as they call it. So yeah, I've made a YouTube channel. I've just playlists. It's therapeutic, really, like laying out what we've done and what I've seen, because it was just mental, especially being in the media spaces. It's greasy and horrible. Yeah, I've put a link in the thing. It's called Nuts Normal Under These Systems, because my mental health is wrecked and my anxiety and depression are quite bad, and I think a lot of it is pretty logical, but there's a new push coming. We're going to try and do it. You know, David Graeber said direct action is doing what is needed, and what we need is deliberative democracy. We need to come together and talk, and I know it can sound really boring, but it could be bloody beautiful. I'm also on Twitter as @FizzyRebel, and yeah, and I just dream of an army of mums coming together, because we can't keep allowing them to hurt us the way they're hurting us. We can't allow them to keep rejecting our children's futures as externality. So we have got to be 90% love, and to do that it's got to be 10% go fuck yourself. Not me and mine, right?